In the first Behavior Basics video, we talked about System 1, the decision-making system that functions on autopilot, pulling available options for action from prior experience. Meanwhile, System 2 lies low, waiting for moments when System 1 needs some advice. Let's learn more about these two systems, shall we? System 2 also wakes up and helps more when we encounter unexpected events as simple as that math problem, and it does the same thing with social interaction. A good example of this is how Lauren learned to navigate her morning routine when we were roommates.
Moving in with Stephanie was a learning curve. I had perfected my morning routine by the end of student teaching. When I moved in with her, I knew there would be adjustments, but never did I fear for my morning routine. Turns out her mornings are more of a game of roulette. Sometimes she gets up on the first alarm. Sometimes we're 10 snoozes in before she gets up. Other times she simply lets her body decide when it's time to wake up. This makes it extremely difficult for someone with a solid morning routine to schedule their wake-up times, especially when there's a shared bathroom involved.
But could you beat that reasonable rent?
I guess not.
Eventually, Lauren had enough practice reacting to my unpredictable morning behavior, and it was easier for her to come up with solutions in that situation to get what she needed. This allowed her to rely on System 1, where she expended less energy.
Yeah, the solution was staying out of her way and having 2 cups of coffee rather than just the one.
When System 2 is lying low, it is always monitoring your behavior for moments when you need to stop yourself from doing something or motivate yourself to act. For example, when you feel like making a comment that you know may offend someone.
Or what about when you've been sitting in a meeting too long and you want to pick up your phone to text someone about how boring that meeting is, but you're sitting next to your boss?
System 2 isn't perfect. It can break down if there isn't enough energy to gear it up to its proper level. Every time we encounter the unexpected and have to adjust or stop a behavior to avoid negative physical or social consequences, we're expending a higher level of energy than we do when System 1 is doing most.
Okay, but why is it such a big deal? And how does it relate to the classroom?
Well, geez, I wish your System 2 had been a little stronger to stop that little outburst, but good question nonetheless. This may not seem like that big of a deal to you unless you realize that our bodies draw upon a limited pool of energy to do these things, and our brains try to protect us by keeping enough energy in case there is an emergency.
Like a threat? Like fighting or flighting?
Yeah, even though we're rarely in a life-threatening situation at school, our bodies still adhere to that rule, keeping energy just in case we need to act. So if your brain is asking your body to sit in a desk, work on a higher level math problem, and avoid distractions, you may not be able to do all of those things really well.
Are you saying that the student chooses what they will and won't do based upon how much energy they have?
Well, sort of, but not consciously. Remember, it's not like the student is consciously deciding, I think I should sit in my desk and maybe avoid every other distraction. Our System 1 took over those skills long ago and responds to them automatically. So all of the decisions about what to spend energy on is pretty subconscious and automatic.
You're saying that they are aware that their body is having trouble sitting still or that they can't focus, but they aren't making a deliberate, conscious decision to not spend energy on sitting still or focusing. Their body has decided what requires too much energy? That makes sense. That sounds really frustrating.
Yeah, that is really frustrating, and we go through it too. But because we're older, we have a larger pool of energy to draw from. I think about all the times when I have to get work done and it's really late at night and I can't focus. That's so frustrating.
Or what about the times I would find you half asleep at your computer, trying to get a paper done? Not to go back to a sore subject, but it reminds me of what happened a lot when I would be getting ready for work. And since we were both up at the same time, we sometimes had too many appliances plugged in at once, and
You would blow a fuse? Yeah, that's a terrible memory, but the perfect example. If our bodies have too many requests for energy, then something has got to give. Now, our entire body isn't going to shut down like it would if you blow a fuse, but there's a hierarchy.
Only the most important tasks get allocated energy.
Right. Remember that as students, they spend most of their day responding to requests and directives from you and other adults. Not only do they have to constantly override the impulse to do what they want to do, but they are also drawing upon maps of what they know about you as a teacher. They know what you are willing to let go and what really bugs you. For example, I often let small side conversations go as long as it's short and not disruptive. Or I wouldn't respond too harshly if a student blurted out a question as long as it was on topic.
Yeah, and I'm often fine with kids doodling, like an occasional picture, as long as they aren't disrupting other kids.
How is doodling disruptive?
Stop it. Or what about the kid who rushes through a worksheet instead of taking his time? He's still trying to do his work, but he's doing it in a way that is quick and not super detailed. He's completing the task, but he's using less energy to do it.
Put it this way, when a student encounters a request or a directive from you, there are a lot of factors at play. For example, if you tell a student to turn their work in, their ability to comply with that seemingly simple request will be affected by whether or not they have knowledge of a consistent process. Have you shown them where? Do they need a reminder to put their name on it? Should they staple things or paperclip them? What if they aren't finished? Is there a different place for that?
If they don't have the answers, and if they haven't practiced solving these situations frequently, then it's going to take longer. It also might cause frustration when they come and ask you how to do it, when you've already explained it a bunch of times.
Or they may try to solve it themselves and they might not do it the way you want. By the time students hit middle and high school, they are much better at adjusting between sets of expectations as they have different teachers in different locations with different students almost every hour of their day. Teachers often refer to the honeymoon period, which means the first 2 weeks or so when students are quieter and sometimes easier to direct. This is partially because they are doing a lot of shifting between System 1 and 2, both socially and with the procedures that are particular to your classroom.
As students mature, they gain more exposure to different problems they need to solve, different teaching styles, and the experience of moving between environments. So their brains are making all sorts of new maps to accommodate these new experiences.
Thanks for taking time to hang out with us. Make sure to tell your friends about us, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or listen to our Dear Detective podcast on iTunes. You can also watch our next video and enjoy other resources at www.behaviordetectives.com. Until next time, class dismissed.